There are virtues that are celebrated for their visibility. Courage in the face of adversity, perseverance over long distances, hope when standing before the unknown. Gratitude is different. It is not loud. It does not seek a stage. It does not argue for recognition. Gratitude does something far deeper. It quietly restructures how we see the world, how we see ourselves, and how we live each day. Most people are not lacking reasons to give thanks. We lack the awareness that we have been sustained. Every morning we wake up, every breath that continues uninterrupted, every day that does not collapse under yesterday's fears. These are all gifts, even when they are not wrapped in celebration. Gratitude begins when we stop asking, "What am I missing?" and learn to ask, "What has been given to me that I did not create?" Grace does not run dry. Mercy renews itself like morning light that rises without permission. The psalm inspired. This remembered truth does more than comfort. It reorients. It teaches us that each day is not a reward for yesterday's effort, but an unearned gift for the present moment. When this takes root, we stop treating life as a contract to negotiate and begin receiving it as a gift to steward wisely. True gratitude does not deny difficulty. It does not pretend exhaustion disappears or anxiety evaporates. It simply places hardship where it belongs, not at the center, but at the edges. Gratitude does not say, "Everything is fine." It says, "Even if things are not fine, I am still being held." That subtle shift makes a profound difference in the inner life. Many assume gratitude is a natural response when things go well. In reality, gratitude is a discipline practiced most faithfully in ordinary days. It is formed when we give thanks for things that do not impress: a sufficient meal, a roof that holds, a message that arrives at the right moment, a door that stayed closed before we walked into harm. These moments may not make compelling stories, but they quietly keep our lives from breaking apart. If the Father watches over the birds of the air, then no human life is ever overlooked. Jesus' words remembered. This is not an invitation to passivity. It is liberation from the exhausting belief that everything depends entirely on our control. When we trust that we are cared for, we work with steadiness rather than panic, and plan with wisdom rather than fear. Gratitude, in this sense, becomes the foundation of mature trust. There is a paradox worth naming. Gratitude does not come after we understand everything. It comes when we accept that we never will. Some closed doors only make sense years later, or never. Gratitude allows us to live well, even without resolution. It reminds us that a larger hand is writing a story beyond our limited view, and we do not need to seize the pen. This is especially true when we revisit seasons that once felt empty, days without victories, progress, or answers. Gratitude does its quiet work there, protecting the heart from bitterness and the mind from shrinking under disappointment. It does not erase painful memories. It rescues to them from becoming prisons. Every good thing descends from above, not from chance or personal merit alone. Paul's words remembered. This perspective redefines success. Achievement no longer proves self-sufficiency. It becomes a responsibility to use what we have received for the good of others. Gratitude moves us from accumulation to contribution, not because we have excess, but because we recognize that we have been given enough. Gratitude also heals the long shadow of self-condemnation. Many carry the weight of past failures, convinced they are unworthy of present goodness. Gratitude reminds us that grace does not operate on moral scorecards. It restores rather than rewards. In giving thanks, we receive forgiveness and learn to extend it to ourselves, a necessary step toward moving forward, without dragging the past behind us. In the end, gratitude does not stop at words. It insists on expression through action. It shapes how we speak to those closest to us, how we respond under pressure, how we spend our time and energy. A grateful life requires few rituals, but deep attentiveness. Attentiveness to what is present, rather than obsession with what is missing. Attentiveness that treats today as a gift to be opened, not a burden to endure. Gratitude does not make life easier. In a shallow sense, it makes life truer in direction, rhythm, and focus. And when life is rightly ordered, peace no longer needs to be chased. It arrives as a natural result when gratitude becomes a lived posture rather than a passing feeling. It begins to shape habit, and habit, over time, forms character. Subtle shifts emerge, less defensiveness, gentler speech, slower and wiser decisions, not because life is less demanding, but because difficulty no longer defines who we are. There is an essential difference between gratitude as reaction and gratitude as orientation. Reactions fluctuate with circumstances. Orientation remains steady, even as conditions change. This orientation says, I choose to see life through the light that has been given, not through the darkness that threatens. From here, gratitude becomes practical wisdom, a way of directing attention, evaluating risk, and exercising patience. Consider a day anchored in gratitude. Morning begins, not by cataloging obligations, but by acknowledging life itself. Work is no longer merely pressure to endure, but a place to practice faithfulness with what has been entrusted. Even when outcomes disappoint, dignity remains intact, because worth is no longer tied to immediate performance. Gratitude protects identity from being reduced to productivity. Gratitude also reshapes how we remember the past. Many are trapped, not by what happened, but by how they tell the story to themselves. Gratitude does not rewrite history. It reframes it. It reveals protection in detours, learning in failure, and formation in waiting. Memory is no longer an open wound, but a source of discernment. In relationships, gratitude acts as an invisible lubricant. It reduces friction before conflict escalates. A grateful person notices effort, even when imperfect. They offer thanks, not as flattery, but as recognition. And when correction is needed, it is delivered with respect, because others are seen as gifts, not tools. This does not mean tolerating harm. Gratitude does not erase boundaries. It clarifies them. One can honor the lesson while refusing repeated injury. One can be thankful for protection and still walk away from what is no longer healthy. Gratitude does not weaken resolve. It sharpens judgment. Under pressure, control feels like survival. Gratitude offers another path: responsible trust. Trust does not mean disengagement. It means placing effort within a larger order. We do our work with integrity, then release the outcome from obsession. This frees creative energy, previously consumed by anxiety, and redirects it toward what can be done well today. Those who grow weary are renewed, upheld by a strength that does not run out. Isaiah inspired. This is not a promise of quick escape, but of sustained endurance. In a culture obsessed with speed, gratitude teaches respect for timing. Some seasons call for movement, others call for steadiness. Knowing your season is a gift. Living in it is wisdom. Gratitude becomes a moral compass in ambiguous decisions. When faced with multiple advantageous options, The grateful person asks, which choice honors what I have been given? This shifts focus from personal gain to faithful stewardship, and integrity is strengthened, not by fear of loss, but by awareness of responsibility. Prayer, too, becomes simpler, less listing of requests, more recognition of grace, less urgency about timing, more trust in process. Such prayer does not detach us from reality. It saturates reality with meaning. We do not pray to escape life, but to live it deeply. As the day ends, gratitude teaches us how to rest, not the rest of collapse, but of assurance that today, with all its finished and unfinished work, has been placed into faithful hands. From this assurance, sleep restores not only the body, but the mind. When gratitude has become a way of being, an even deeper transformation occurs. Time stops feeling like an enemy. We no longer race against it, afraid of falling behind or becoming enough. Gratitude returns time to its rightful role, not a whip, but a current for growth. Comparison loosens its grip, because we understand that each life has its own rhythm, and faithfulness to that rhythm matters more than arriving early. This becomes especially evident on disappointing days. Instead of self-judgment, the grateful learn to assess honestly what was done, what needs adjustment, what can be released. This kind of evaluation does not lower standards. It elevates compassion, and compassion does not breed complacency. It sustains endurance. By eliminating internal resistance, a new kind of quiet emerges, not the silence of avoidance, but of inner order. In this quiet, discernment sharpens. We know when to speak, and when to wait, when to move, and when to remain. Gratitude does not command, it clarifies, and clarity makes even difficult decisions lighter to carry. Gratitude also reveals its social strength. Communities shaped by gratitude assign less blame, panic less quickly, and collaborate more readily. When people know they stand on grace, they compete less for credit and share responsibility more freely. Gratitude does not eliminate disagreement. It prevents disagreement from becoming hostility. On a personal level, gratitude becomes a measure of freedom. We are free when we no longer depend on constant affirmation, when worth no longer hinges on approval. Gratitude reminds us that value has already been given, not to encourage passivity, but to empower courage. From that place, we can do what is right, even without applause. Eventually, gratitude is no longer something we practice. It becomes how we are present, fully present, in conversation, in work, in the smallest ordinary moments. A warm cup of water, a quiet afternoon, a thoughtful message. Nothing is overlooked. We discover that life does not wait for perfection to offer meaning. Meaning is offered the moment we pay attention. And in that attentiveness, prayer arises naturally, not as a separate ritual, but as the breath of reflection extended. Few words are needed, because life itself has spoken. We simply place what we have received, what we carry, and what we do not yet understand into the same trusted hands. Lord, I pause to recognize that I have been undone through noisy days and quiet ones alike. I give thanks for what I clearly see, and also for what I have not yet recognized, but has faithfully guarded me. Teach me to live today with gentle attentiveness, to do what is entrusted to me with faithfulness, and to release outcomes with trust. When I am tired, grant me true rest. When I am strong, let that strength be used in service. Keep my heart from bitterness, my mind from panic, and my steps from haste. Let my gratitude be shown, not only in words, but in a life marked by integrity, compassion, and perseverance in what is good. I place this day, and the days yet to come, into your loving care. Amen.